Good evening, everybody. It's Saturday night, and I thought I'd hop on here for a few minutes. Excuse me, guys, I'm getting a cold. I want people to know that it's not cool when we judge other people for something that happened 30, 40 years ago. There's a lot of people coming out of prison that deserve a chance to life that doesn't deserve to be bashed when they serve their time already. I don't care what the person or persons did. People can change. I remember back in 2020, after I came out of the coma from my stroke, the chaplain came down there and said, God's got a purpose for your life. That's why you survived this. They had to revive me twice. The first time they said is 24% chance of survival rate. The second time is less than 5%. And for some reason, I survived both. And my mom also told me several times before her death that God's got plans for me, and I wasn't really sure what they were at the time. Um, Sometimes I still don't really know what it is. I think part of it is to work with the homeless community and try to help where we can help, either feed them, clothe them, help find housing and resources for people. It took me all these years to find a great home church, and now I'm going to Sharon Wood Church over in Sharon Woods, which is awesome. They got a great pastor. Um, they have breakfast at 9:50 every Sunday. So if you are looking for a church, or if you'd like to come visit Sharon Woods Church, that would be really great. Um, Most people, and I've never hit it, knows I was incarcerated for 15 years of my life for a crime I did not do. I committed a crime, just not what the conviction was. I would only face 6 months if it was the proper conviction. But there's a lot of people that still want to sit there and judge people and look down on them for their past, even if it happened over 40 years ago or close to 40 years ago. And it's kind of sad because what are you going to do if your child or your brother or sister gets in trouble by the law? Are you going to walk away from them and say, I'm not going to be there for you? I would never do that to my kids. My parents did not do that to me. I had a great attorney, Paul W. Cassidy, who at the time was the mayor of Parma Heights. And sorry guys, my sugar is kind of low. I'm just waiting for my soup to warm up. But I was given chances, but it took me many years to figure out, that I needed help. I was a victim of sexual abuse from a swimming instructor when I was 7 years old, and that did not help me. I did not commit the crimes that he did, or anything close to it. But I was wrong for the things that I did do. And, you only can apologize so much, and ask people for forgiveness. And I'm not going to be doing that anymore because I've already done that. And I'm not going to dwell on my past. Parma Heights was my hometown growing up, and I still consider that my town because I love the city of Parma Heights the way it used to be run. When we had the ice rink, the Parma Heights pool, which is still up there, but the ice rink and the Parma Heights pool was the first two jobs that I had growing up. Jim Rhea at the time was a recreation director and gave me a job there. My dad was president of council at the time, and then he ended up becoming the director of public service, and Dan Tobick passed away. And I don't remember what year that was. My dad retired from Ford in, I think, 1986. He had 33 years in, I think. But try to be a little bit nicer to people, instead of seeing them bashing them. I don't care if they're a sex offender, because you don't know their story. You don't even know if they're guilty. You just want to sit there and belittle somebody and make their life more miserable. Remember, they got families too. They got kids. They got grandkids. They got people that care about them. And nobody deserves to be harassed for the rest of their lives, especially when they serve their time. And they've done everything they can to improve themselves. I've been home now 17 years. I know a lady that's been home 30 years, and she still gets harassed. I know a guy that got out, I think, in 1982, and he gets harassed. Is that really worth it? Does that make you really tough that you sit there and belittle other people? Look what I see on Facebook. If you make a post in support of Trump or in support of somebody else, they're going to come down and harass the heck out of you. They're going to call you names. They're going to call you racist. I asked one person one time, okay, what was one racist thing Trump said? Oh, I heard it on the news. And that's how most of the things happen is we hear it on the news. Or why was Obama such a bad president? Oh, I heard it on the news. Or, just stuff like that. People get a lot of their stuff from the news. The news is what convicts people of crimes. It's not a fair jury or a fair trial. And you're definitely not going to get a fair trial in Parma. It's kind of sad, that a city has such a bad reputation and people allow it to continue. But that's not really what it's supposed to be. There's some good people that's running the city of Parma Heights. I'm hoping they're good people at least, and I hope they're not judgmental. I know under Mayor Cassidy's leadership, everybody was welcomed, no matter what race you were, who you were, and people were not being harassed. But he was a good leader. When they had the Cassidy team, they knew how to run the city because they worked together as a team. They lowered taxes. They built stuff. My dad was the one that kind of designed the emblem for the city of Parma Heights. And when Mayor Cassidy became mayor, they said, "Oh, you're too small. You cannot have a library." So they got together. They built their own library. Then the county wanted to take it over, I guess, after a while. But Parma Heights built their own library. So they did a lot of good things in that city. And I'm hoping that city is accepting of people that are flawed, that do have mistakes. I grew up in a church out in Parma Heights called Parma Heights Baptist. It is now called Cross of Hope Church because they wanted to reach the whole community of Cleveland, which I think is neat. It's very similar to the church that I'm attending now in Columbus. But I'm asking you, instead of posting all these hateful comments about legislators or against somebody that made a mistake, pray for them. You don't need to sit there and belittle people just because it makes you tough. I can handle what comes my way. That's not a problem. But my family didn't do anything wrong. So they're the innocent ones. But you don't need to sit there and block somebody because you don't like their past, or harass people, or make comments, or call other people. That's not who we are as Americans. I don't know, and there's quite a few legislators that's gone to prison before, and I don't see them getting bashed as much. There was just recently a U.S. Senator from New Jersey that went to federal prison. I forget exactly what he did. Well, I do know, but I'm not going to get into it. You had another guy that ran for Congress and one that lied about college and all this stuff. One was a Democrat, one was a Republican. So you got it on both sides. You don't even need to sit there and belittle them. If you don't like a candidate, just don't vote for them. Why tear somebody down? Why call somebody a racist? Just for the sake of calling somebody a racist. God created everybody You know, no matter what race you are, God created you. So we're actually one race in the kingdom of heaven. You know, and I think He would frown upon us if He knew that. If He, if He continued to belittle people. You know, I had a lot of respect for Charlie Kirk. I've watched every one of his videos. I have not once seen anything racist in any of his videos, and I do believe he was a man of God. Um, but it's always easier to tear down Christians and belittle them more than it is anybody else. So let's be a little bit kinder. Let's quit the bullying on people. Let's quit bad mouthing people because of their past. You know, when you harass people that first get out of prison, belittle them, make them feel so terrible about themselves, it pushes them back into reoffending. So let's stop that. I'm going to college now to work with addicts because I would like to work with some sex offenders and some drug and alcohol addiction people because everybody deserves a chance and everybody deserves help if they want it. You can't force anybody to accept help, but you know, the help needs to be there for them though. God bless you, everybody. Have yourself a great night. Go Buckeyes.